The drama surrounding David Benavidez isn't just about dominance, knockouts, or championship belts. It's about the night everything almost slipped away, when an undefeated force of nature came face to face with something far more dangerous than hype: resistance. By 2017, Benavidez wasn't just another rising fighter. He was a storm tearing through the super middleweight division, an undefeated wrecking machine with 18 fights and 18 knockouts. Opponents didn't just lose to him, they were broken, overwhelmed, erased. Every performance added to the myth, every knockout reinforcing the idea that this young fighter wasn't just talented, he was inevitable. The division didn't feel competitive, it felt like it was waiting for its next ruler. That moment arrived when Benavidez stepped into the ring for his first world title shot. Across from him stood Ronald Gavril, a fighter who, on paper, seemed like just another name on the path to greatness. But Gavril wasn't just an opponent. He was a product of Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s gym, sharpened by elite discipline and hardened through experience. He carried power, durability, and a relentless style that thrived in close-range warfare. Still, despite his credentials, most saw him as a stepping stone. Benavidez walked into that fight like the belt already belonged to him. But boxing has a way of punishing assumptions. From the opening bell, Benavidez did what he always did. He took control. His jab snapped sharply, his combinations flowed with confidence, and his presence dictated the pace. Gavril, however, didn't panic. He stayed composed, studying, absorbing, testing. It was the calm before something far more violent. As the rounds unfolded, the fight began to shift. Gavril started digging to the body, pressing forward with a steady, grinding intensity. He wasn't trying to outshine Benavidez, he was trying to outlast him. And slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the momentum began to tighten. This wasn't the one-sided destruction fans expected. It was a war. Benavidez still had moments of brilliance, sharp combinations, punishing body shots, flashes of dominance that reminded everyone why he was so feared. But Gavril kept coming. Every punch absorbed was returned with interest. Every step back was followed by 2 steps forward. His chin held firm, his pressure unrelenting. And then something unexpected happened. Fatigue crept in. Benavidez, so used to ending fights early, found himself deep into unfamiliar territory. The later rounds weren't supposed to be competitive. They weren't supposed to exist like this. But Gavril had dragged him there, into the kind of fight where reputations don't matter and only resilience decides the outcome. By the championship rounds, the energy in the arena had shifted completely. What once felt like a coronation now felt like a crisis. Gavril, sensing the moment, pushed harder. His punches carried urgency, his movements sharpened with belief. For the first time, it wasn't about surviving Benavidez, it was about beating him. Then came the moment no one saw coming. With less than a minute left in the final round, Gavril timed it perfectly. A clean, precise left hook landed flush on Benavidez's jaw, and just like that, the unstoppable force hit the canvas. Time froze. The crowd erupted, not in celebration, but in shock. The undefeated destroyer, the future king, had been dropped. It wasn't just a knockdown, it was a statement, a crack in the armor, a reminder that no fighter is invincible. Benavidez galloped, but the damage was done, not physically, but psychologically. The aura had been shaken. The final bell rang, with both fighters exhausted, battered, and uncertain. When the scorecards were read, Benavidez was declared the winner by split decision. He had become the youngest world champion in the division, but the victory didn't feel complete, because half the arena didn't believe it. Gavril and his team were convinced they had done enough. The knockdown, the pressure, the late surge, it all pointed to a different outcome in their eyes. The calls for a rematch came immediately, and this time there would be no room for doubt. For Benavidez, the first fight changed everything. He was no longer the untouchable prospect steamrolling through opponents. He He had been tested, exposed to adversity, and forced to confront the reality that raw talent alone wouldn't carry him forever. 5 months later, they met again. The rematch carried a different energy. The confidence was still there, but it was sharper now, more focused. Benavidez wasn't just fighting to win, he was fighting to prove that the first bout wasn't a fluke, that the knockdown was a moment, not a pattern. From the opening rounds, the difference was clear. Gavril came forward again, pressing the action, trying to replicate the same pressure that had troubled Benavidez before. But this time, Benavidez was ready. His jab was more disciplined, his timing more precise. He wasn't rushing, he was controlling. And when he opened up, the impact was undeniable. In the fourth round, a brutal uppercut snapped Gavril's head back and sent him stumbling towards the ropes. It was the kind of shot that changes fights, the kind that reminds everyone watching exactly who they're dealing with. Benavidez followed up with calculated aggression, targeting the body, breaking Gavril down piece by piece. But once again, Gavril refused to fall. Round after round, he absorbed punishment that would have stopped most fighters. His face began to swell, his nose bloodied, his body battered, but he kept coming. There was something almost defiant about it, as if he refused to let the narrative be rewritten without a fight. Yet this time, the story belonged to Benavidez. His combinations were sharper, his defense tighter, his endurance stronger. The mistakes from the first fight weren't there. He wasn't overextending, wasn't fading. He was learning in real time, evolving under pressure. By the later rounds, the gap between them had become undeniable. Gavril was still dangerous, still pushing, but the control had entirely shifted. Benavidez was dictating the pace, landing the cleaner shots, and leaving no doubt about who was winning. The final bell rang again, but this time there was no controversy. Benavidez had secured a clear victory, defending his title and proving that he could adapt, survive, and dominate, even after being pushed to the edge. Gavril, battered but unbroken, accepted the result with respect. The rivalry, intense and brutal, had reached its conclusion. But the impact of those fights lingered. Because what Gavril did wasn't just challenge Benavidez, he revealed something deeper. He showed the world that even the most feared fighters have limits, that greatness isn't defined by how easily you win, but how you respond when things go wrong. That night, Benavidez didn't just become a champion, he became human. And maybe that's what made him even more dangerous. Because once a fighter understands what it feels like to almost lose everything and survives, it changes them, it sharpens them, it prepares them for battles yet to come. So now the question is, what do you think? Did Ronald Gavril deserve the decision in the first fight? Or did David Benavidez prove his greatness by surviving and coming back stronger in the rematch? And if they had fought a third time, would the outcome have been any different? Let me know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed deep breakdowns like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more stories from the fight game where everything is on the line.